Hi. Hola.
Hi, here's Mr. Dozy.
This is Michael Bradley.
Hey, I'm Memphis.
Hey.
Hola. Hello.
I'm here with soccer.com.
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 And I'm talking with my friends soccer.com.
See you soon.
Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the limited edition Deadly Focus Pack Adidas X15.1. Now, as you guys can see, it does come in a special drawer-style box with this snakeskin print that just looks really cool. It's all in black and white, and it's actually pretty detailed when you get up close. Open up the drawer, and on the inside they do include a couple of extras to go along with the shoes. The first extra being that this is a limited edition release from Adidas, and this is something they've been doing as of 2016. They include this little hang tag. It's made out of metal, which is pretty nice. On the one side it has the Adidas logo. On the opposite side it has a bit of information in regards to this particular release. You have the Italia Independent logo right there, which is the dot and the two lines, which is the company Adidas collaborated with in the development of the Deadly Focus Pack. It says May 2016 because as of basically January, Adidas has had one limited edition release per month for the year so far, this being the limited edition release for May. It says limited collection, and then of course they are numbered. These shoes were limited to 700 pairs, so 700 pairs of the X and 700 pairs of the Ace, and I have pair number 36 of 700, so quite a low number, which is kind of cool, but ultimately doesn't mean all that much. As far as other things they include, you do get a string bag, which is all black in color. Features these red strings on either side just to seal up the top of the bag. And then again, you have the Italia Independent logo in the form of a little tag on the side. No Adidas branding on the actual string bag. And then of course, inside the box, you do get the shoes themselves. So we'll get these guys out of the box really quickly, and we'll take a closer look at the Deadly Focus Pack X15.1 from Adidas, which does have a distinctively different look from the Ace variation, despite being the same kind of snakeskin print across the entire upper. Obviously a lot more black as opposed to a white accent color that you find on the Ace. But if you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about this particular shoe, we're going to go over all the details as far as the colorway is concerned in this particular video, talk tech specs, performance, take a look at the weight of the shoe, as well as talk about how these things fit and feel on feet. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around and watch the entire video. Because this was a limited edition release, it did sell out in the first couple of days, only 700 pairs worldwide. The retail price when it was available was $225 US, but like I said, they are sold out as of right now. So as far as getting a pair, eBay would be your best bet at this point, but expect to pay a little bit over retail from people who are trying to resell them. Are they actually worth that much? Not necessarily. It's really what you're willing to pay, but just keep that in mind, not just with these, but really with any limited edition release. So with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's take a closer look at the colorway. Now, a lot of you guys watching this video perhaps saw my video on the A16.1 in the Deadly Focus Pack colorway, and really the biggest difference between the X and the Ace in this particular pack is that there's a lot more going on with the X colorway, both because of the design of the shoe and just the colors and patterns that they chose on the upper. So you have the exact same snakeskin graphic, but because of the upper being completely smooth, it did allow them to implement more of a shiny finish, which the inspiration for the graphic in the first place is to kind of replicate what you might find on some more luxurious products. I personally don't love the look of snakeskin on a pair of shoes, although I thought what they did on the A16.1 actually looks pretty good. On the X though, because of the shiny finish and just the added kind of unnecessary texturing you get from the non-stop grip dots, which aren't necessarily supposed to be a visual element, I don't know, it just looks a little bit cheap to me. And then you have black as an accent as opposed to white. I just thought the white made the snakeskin graphic pop a little bit more on the Ace, where with this shoe, you have the snakeskin graphic, which is already kind of loud, then you have the chaos graphic in gloss black that kind of just hides the snakeskin graphic a little bit, and then for some reason they implemented kind of a faux carbon fiber look to the rest of the overlays on the upper that just kind of seems out of place. You have so many different textures and so many different shades of black on the shoe. It just seems like there's too much going on in my opinion. Black laces, obviously, the Adidas branding and the Italia Independent logo on the tongue. Tech Fit collar all in black. Black Adidas logo on the heel, which as I was saying, because you have so many different shades of black, it almost kind of ends up being invisible on the heel. You almost don't see it at all. And then of course the sole plate, all black in color with that snakeskin graphic peeking through all the little cutouts, which is actually kind of a cool little detail. And then the insole, as you guys can see, this is actually really nice. It's got the synthetic suede graphic, synthetic suede material with the snakeskin graphic continuing on. And then of course says X15.1, the Italian flag, and the Italia independent logo one more time. So very cool insole, not so crazy about the look of the shoes. I personally prefer the look of the Deadly Focus A16.1, but let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the tech specs so we can learn a little bit more about the overall performance. As far as performance is concerned, I really think the X15 platform is a good one. But when you're talking about the standard synthetic X15.1, there's one major downfall of this shoe that really turns me off from the standard X15.1 period, and that is the heel liner. There's a very slick kind of neoprene material lining the heel with a decent amount of padding. Comfort is not the issue. There's really no break-in time with the heel area. The problem is it just doesn't grip your sock very well. So heel slippage can be a major issue with this particular shoe depending on how well it fits your foot. I know there's plenty of people that have these that don't have any issues at all, but a lot of people who did buy the X15.1 experience that heel slippage issue. So if you want to take your chances, go for the regular synthetic X15.1. It is the one that is the most readily available in terms of sizing and colorway options, I suppose. But for me, the better alternative if you want something with the X15 platform is either the X15 Plus SL, which pretty recently came out, or the X15 Plus Prime Knit, which is the Prime Knit variation of the shoe. Both of those shoes, aside from having different uppers, also have different heel liners that improve upon the heel slippage issue that I personally have and a lot of people have with the standard synthetic upper variation. So with this shoe, you are getting their X-Skin synthetic upper, which is actually a really, really nice material. It's similar to what they were using on previous F50 models in terms of just the feel and general thickness. They kind of just renamed everything with X in front of it for the X15 line when they did their whole rebranding thing approximately a year ago now. But the synthetic material, it's thin. It does have a slightly padded liner to it, but for the most part, it does provide more of a barefoot feel just in terms of what's currently on offer from Adidas. It's their thinnest shoe out of everything that's available from the brand at the moment. On top of that upper, you do have the non-stop grip dots, which is kind of a consistent feature with all the top-end models at the moment. It's essentially Adidas' answer to Nike's ACC All Conditions Control technology. It's supposed to act as a wet control element, and just like ACC, it's one of those things that some people get excited about, but it ultimately doesn't make for a big kind of, I guess, it doesn't really factor in all that much in terms of what your overall experience is going to be with any of the top-end Adidas models. It's one of those features that's there more so for marketing reasons, just to have one extra feature, as opposed to something that I would say is a tangible performance advantage. Through the middle, you have the Chaos graphic, which some people love the look of, some people absolutely hate it, but it is there for performance reasons. It's what they call their X-Cage reinforcement system, where essentially you have thinner layers of kind of a firmer material fused on top of the X-Skin upper, reinforcing the midfoot, which is where you need the majority of the reinforcement, and then going around the toe kind of forefoot area as well. So as far as structural stability, when you pull the laces tight, you can definitely tell that the midfoot area of the shoe is a lot firmer without really adding much thickness to the upper. So you get a fairly consistent touch across the entire shoe, but it doesn't lack, like I said, the structural integrity, the responsiveness, given the actual thickness of the upper is actually pretty good. You may experience a little bit of foot cramping with this shoe for the first couple of wears, but that's something that does go away kind of once you get used to how they fit and feel. Laces run through the middle, as you guys can see. The tongue is fully independent. I know that it looks like it kind of ties in with the actual Tech Fit collar system, but it doesn't. The Tech Fit collar is another one of those things that is kind of unnecessary. This is a standard low-cut shoe. The material on the sides here doesn't have to be here. It's there simply for aesthetic reasons. You don't feel it, and it has absolutely no impact on performance. It essentially just makes the opening to put your foot inside the shoe a little bit smaller, and that's about it. This collar is made from kind of a stretchy neoprene material, which does continue on into the liner, and it cuts off at this point right here, where you can actually see a little bit of the stitching on the tongue. So it doesn't go all the way through. It's not like a sock-like enclosure on the inside. It's simply right here, kind of a little extension piece on what would otherwise be a standard low-cut shoe. And like I said, from the first time you put it on, it'll kind of be kind of interesting feeling in terms of just sliding your foot inside. But once your foot's in there, you stop noticing it altogether. You don't notice it when you play. It offers no performance benefit. It's just there kind of as something that looks a little bit different and is kind of unique, I suppose. But again, there's no real reason for it to be there. In fact, if you buy the leather upper variation of the X15.1, it isn't there at all. It's just a standard cut, which honestly I think that the regular X15.1 would have benefited from, because that shoe in the heel fits a little bit better and it has a completely different liner, so heel slippage isn't an issue either. Internal plastic heel counter, like I mentioned earlier, the heel liner is that same neoprene material that the Tech Fit collar is made out of, and it's just slippery. I know a lot of people have asked whether or not True Socks will kind of fix the problem, and again, depending on how well the shoe fits you, it could help the problem. It may fix it entirely. It's something that, again, you kind of have to try out for yourself. There's no guarantees with that kind of thing. I've worn these shoes with and without True Socks. Even with True Socks, while the heel slippage was definitely lessened when wearing True Socks, it was still something that was there, and it's just, it bothers me. The little bit of heel slippage, it's not going to cause blisters, it's not going to cause any discomfort, it's just kind of annoying, and that to me just takes away from the experience of the shoe. When I'm wearing a pair of shoes, no matter what they are, I don't want to have to think about how they're sliding around on my feet. I just want them to fit properly, hold my foot in place, and not move around on me. And that's just something I couldn't really achieve with the X15.1. And again, I know a lot of people struggle with that particular issue. Insole fully removable. You guys already saw it. It's got a nice synthetic suede liner on top, and it's just made from a single layer of this black foam. Again, very similar to what we've seen from F50 Adizero models in the past. Nothing fancy, but it does get the job done. And then moving on to the sole plate, you have their Exo Frame outsole, which essentially is a plastic plate and then a stud plate on top. So all the little cutouts, while they look like cutouts, there is actually hard plastic in between them. So again, the cutouts are there kind of as aesthetic reasons. That was a heck of a voice crack, but I'm too far in to start over now, so we're going to keep going. Anyways, so you have two layers of plastic here. So the sole plate, despite looking quite thin, is actually pretty rigid. It does soften up over time, but at first definitely expect it to be a little bit stiffer. And then of course the stud pattern, this is their X Claw system, everything starting with X in the name. And it's FGAG. Again, kind of what we've seen from F50 Adizeros in the past in terms of stud shape and stud placement, but unlike previous F50 Adizeros, this is FGAG. So you can technically use it on firm natural grass as well as on artificial grass. On firm natural grass, the performance is very, very good because really up until now, this has been an FG stud pattern, but on artificial grass, it seems to work quite well. It's not overly clingy. The studs are, in my opinion, a little bit longer than they need to be for use on artificial grass, but for the most part, stability is not an issue. Stud pressure isn't an issue either, and they should hold up fine on artificial grass as well, which you can't really say for most firm ground specific shoes. So if you do want to buy one pair of shoes and you play on firm natural grass as well as artificial grass, all the current Adidas models are technically FGAG and are perhaps worth looking into. So that's pretty much it in terms of what I think performance-wise of the X15.1. Let me know your experiences with the shoe down below in the comment section. And with that being said, let's move on to the weigh-in portion of the video so we can see how lightweight these guys are. As far as weight is concerned, given that the X15.1 with the synthetic upper variation is the thinnest upper that Adidas makes on any of their current models, I think a lot of people expected this to be more or less the replacement for the F50 Adizero line, but unlike the F50 Adizeros, especially the earlier ones, these are not nearly as light. So I'm going to weigh this pair for you today in real time using this scale. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. We're going to throw them on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 8 ounces exactly, the equivalent of 226 grams. So while these things are by no means heavy, they don't have that super lightweight sensation on your feet at all. It's actually a pretty solid shoe given how thin it is, with that Exo Frame sole plate that does have some decent rigidity to it, and the X-Cage reinforcement system, which is more effective than you might think given how thin it actually is. So again, the X15.1, it has a lot of quirks about it, but if you were buying these with the expectation that they were going to be super, super light, unfortunately, they just aren't. All right, so here is a look at the Deadly Focus X15.1s on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock black laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot, I have a pair of white and black grid pattern SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. You find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, Like I mentioned earlier in the video, the heel slippage is for me the major downfall of the regular synthetic X15.1. It's just something that it bothers me. That's the best way to put it. It's not a detriment to the performance. It's not a detriment to the comfort. It doesn't cause any discomfort. It's just an annoying thing that's always there, and you feel your heel moving ever so slightly, and it just bothers me. It's something that I would complain about with any shoe, and I'm just surprised that Adidas would release something like this, because like I said earlier in the video, a lot of people who bought these are having this exact same issue. And if you are really interested in the X15 platform, you're much better off with the recently released SL variation or the Prime Knit model, because those two shoes don't have the same issue because they have a different heel liner or a different cut in the heel altogether. Now, the one thing with the heel slippage as well that's also worth noting is that if you buy your shoes with a lot of extra space in them, the heel slippage is only going to be worse just because this material does not grip your heel very well. So if there is extra space on the inside of the shoe and potential for your foot to slide around, the heel slippage is going to be even worse. So just keep that in mind. If you are planning on picking these up, make sure you pick them up with no extra space like I'm wearing them right now. Other than that though, the shoe itself is actually pretty nice. The X-Skin synthetic upper is thin, it's soft against your foot due to that lining material, and it's relatively flexible. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a little bit of stiffness to the exo-frame sole plate, but that breaks in after a few hours of wear and isn't necessarily a bad thing by any means. And overall, I actually quite like how the shoe fits and feels on foot. It fits pretty well aside from the heel area. That doesn't necessarily fit poorly, it's just that heel liner material that just isn't very good. It's not right for a soccer shoe in my opinion. Width-wise, it is a tighter fitting shoe as you would expect. So not necessarily the greatest option if you do have wider feet, but at the same time, as long as you don't mind a tighter fitting shoe, I think they will be suitable for most people. Just don't expect them to stretch very much at all, especially through the midfoot. And as far as sizing is concerned, they run true to size. I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here. And if you are looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. Alright guys, that is it for my review of the Deadly Focus Pack Adidas X15.1. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, this was a limited edition release, only 700 pairs worldwide, and they sold out almost immediately. So they aren't available for purchase anywhere, but if you guys would like to see the high quality images of this exact pair that I took myself, that'll give you a better idea as to how they actually do look in person. You can check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. If you have any questions in regards to this specific shoe or the X15.1 or X15 line in general, leave those down below in the comments and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.